What do you make of this? Those are pretty good numbers, right?
Yeah, they're very good. I mean, listen, even if we hit the 0.7 consensus forecast, we'd have been at 5.5% year over year compared to last year. And I think as Steve and Rick have talked about, as you and Steve discussed in his earlier piece on employment, you know, the month-to-month numbers, it's really hard, as you said, to pull data out of what's happening here. So we've been looking a lot at the year-over-year numbers to see what we can find from that. And even though August didn't seem like big growth year-over-year, it was above 5%. This is above 5% again year-on-year. And, you know, somebody's going to remind me, I said when we talked last month, September would be important because we wouldn't have any stimulus money in there. Well, I got to say I agree with Steve. October's the number because now we've seen retailers really pull things forward. We saw all the activity this week with different big retail companies and even small mid-sized companies with special deals trying to get consumers going. So it'll be really interesting to see how the October numbers look as we go forward here.
Futures look like they're pleasantly surprised. So overall, the strength of the consumer has surprised you, or a lot of it is confined to online and digital, but it's there. It found its way out, right?
Yeah, I think the consumers have been very resilient, and this has been talked about quite a bit. And Steve just mentioned, you know, the savings rate. Okay, now it's down to maybe about 14%. It was 18, 19%. But between savings, which is about $900 billion, and that $100 billion in paid down consumer revolving credit debt, there's $1 trillion there that consumers have in firepower to put into the economy. And various estimates have suggested there are $300 or $400 billion that in a normal holiday year would be used on travel and accommodations and entertainment, dining, resorts, things like that. And that money is largely going to go away from services into products this year. I think the thing to really look at now, and we did this with our Operation Open Doors, your home state governor, Joe, yesterday made a very persuasive case. He didn't persuade Andrew to change domicile, but his talking about what happens if we get into a big spike here, should we go all the way to lockdowns? And he didn't go there. He said there's a way to keep things open safely, do this a middle ground. We agree with that. That's why we launched our Shop Safe, Shop Early, New Holiday Traditions campaign. So we think there's a way to keep the economy moving, do it thoughtfully, and I think if we can do that, we might have a really good year this holiday season.
Depending. I don't know if anyone was thinking Christmas could be that we'd still be in the throes, but we're starting to think of that now. I mean, we heard something from Pfizer about November, but obviously it's not going to be perfect. And you know, Dr. Fauci said, call off Thanksgiving, or not call it off, but maybe don't have a big family reunion. That's not advisable. So maybe we should short turkeys. But is the retail season at Christmas going to be okay based on Shopify and Amazon and Walmart.com and everything else, or should it be dampened by still really being in the middle of this pandemic?
Well, Joe, there's no question that consumers are changing their behavior to adapt to the current environment. And that means obviously much more happening online, much more digital fulfillment, the curbside we've talked about, the buy online, pick up in stores. The surveys we've done indicate that consumers overwhelmingly are going to go out and shop. They're shopping for gifts for others, less for themselves this year, but they're going to do more real gifting as opposed to self-gifting. They're going to behave differently. Consumers have been showing that changed behavior. Retailers have adapted to it. And so I think they're going to be ready with the inventory. They're going to be ready with their store footprints being used in different new creative ways to serve orders. You saw Macy's announce they're going to use 2 of their big stores as fulfillment centers this year. Walmart, we had Doug McMillon. Doug was talking yesterday about sort of TikTok, which is a preview to some exciting things that could happen, I think. And I've talked with Michael Evans of Alibaba the other day about some of these things. So it's a really dynamic environment, and there are challenges. There's no question. But I think there's an enormous amount of innovation going on here that's going to ultimately be very beneficial for consumers. There's some friction. We're going to lose some companies. Some businesses are going to go away. But overall, the businesses that survive are going to be healthier. And I think it'll be a better overall environment for consumers. Holiday season is part one of what that's going to look like in the future.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.